Hello to everyone and welcome back to Multifamily Mastery. This is the podcast where I take you on a journey into multifamily investing as a complete beginner and hopefully end up somewhere someday. I'm your host, Jonathan Zook, and once again, welcome. All right, welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 16, and today's topic is acquisitions. So acquisitions, they go hand in hand with deal sourcing. I have another episode on that. I will link it in the description. I think it was episode 14 maybe. Yeah, 14 was deal sourcing. And this is they're pretty similar, but they're not the same thing. There's differences. So acquisitions are the process after the deal is found, so the process of actually getting the deal, finding that deal, that's deal sourcing. So there's a good bit that goes into acquisitions. All right, so kind of one of the first steps of acquisitions is underwriting the deal. That's basically running the numbers on the deal to make sure it's actually profitable. That's looking at the T12, the expenses of the property, the rent roll, stuff like that. It's basically just finding out if the deal is actually going to make you any money. So it is definitely a very important part, very, very, very important part of multifamily, because you don't want to buy a bad deal, and then if it's of any size, you're millions of dollars in the hole. Basically, you can't pay your loan, you can't pay your investors, and then you're stuck for years after being bankrupt. So you definitely want to underwrite your deal correctly and conservatively, especially in the time that we're in now with how the whole interest rates and all that stuff. So underwriting is very important. Next is submitting the LOI. That's your letter of intent. It's a non-binding contract, so you're not legally obligated to it. You can back out during that time. It's basically just letting the seller and the broker know what you plan to do with the property. You have your offer price in there, stuff like that. Next is negotiating with the seller or broker. If they don't accept your first LOI or whatever, you can kind of go back and forth. That's all part of acquisitions. And then after that, when the broker/seller accept your offer, your LOI, then you can start getting the deal under contract. And after you do that, comes in the period of due diligence. It's usually a 30-day period. It's basically just verifying the previous information that was given to you by the broker/seller. Due diligence, it's done once you're under contract of the deal. Keep in mind, you can back out still during the due diligence period, and you can you can negotiate for extensions. If some problems come up and you need to look more, you can negotiate that with the seller. Due diligence can be online research, confirmation of previous information given. You can just kind of go back and make sure that all the information that you were given before was correct. And there will be physical inspection of the property. Inspectors are professionals who look at a property and basically just assess its condition. They will identify any safety hazards or code violations if there are any. They'll look at the structural integrity of the property and make sure that it's going to withstand existing. And they'll also look at the electrical, the water quality, and the plumbing. It's basically just to make sure that everything's running smoothly and as it should be, and that there's no issues with it. Another part of due diligence is looking at the CapEx history of the property. That's basically just what the seller has done to the property while it's under their ownership. You want to see what they've done, what you might need to do when you purchase the property. Also, you want to get in contact with the county tax assessors of whatever county the property that you're buying is in. That's finding out how often they do tax reassessments, what that process is, how they calculate those taxes with change of ownership, because you don't want to buy a property, not look into that, and then get hit with a giant tax bill the year after you bought it that was nowhere in your budget, not in your underwriting. That is not good whatsoever. In general, due diligence is it's limiting the risk that you take in the property. It's verifying that it's actually going to be a good investment for you, a good investment for your investors if you're syndicating, and making sure that everything just is good with the property. Another step of acquisitions is financing the property. You got to make sure that you can actually, if you're not paying with cash, then you got to make sure that everything is good with the lenders. Get that loan. Also, kind of in that general in the general range of the money is earnest money, which is the money that you put up front to prove that you can actually buy the property. There was one deal locally to me that I underwrote. I couldn't really get to the price that they were asking. The point of that is they went under contract, but then they had to back out because the buyer couldn't provide earnest money for that deal. Last but not least, where it really gets fun is closing on the deal. Congratulations, you and your partners now are in control of that asset. Yeah, that's acquisitions in a nutshell. I know there's a lot more that goes into it that I don't feel like I have the knowledge to put out there because I still haven't actually bought a deal. Trust me, I'm not really slacking. I'm still in contact with brokers. I'm still underwriting deals. It takes time. That's one of the biggest things with multifamily is the learning curve is pretty enormous. It takes a lot of time. And the last thing I want to do is buy a bad deal and be bankrupt and stuck trying to pay back my investors for the next few years. That's just, me and my dad, we underwrite really conservatively because we want to make sure that the deal is actually going to be profitable. We're not going to lose money. Our investors aren't going to lose money, that kind of thing. But when I do actually get a deal, when it's going to happen, trust, I'm putting it out there, I'm going to get a deal. When that happens, I'm going to take you guys through basically the entire process because I don't feel like I can do that now. I feel like I'm going to have to really be in the deal, knowing the nitty gritty, actually going through with it before I can put out every single little bit of the details because honestly, I don't even know them yet. Like I have to actually buy the deal and use the connections that I have and the partners that I have that will be in that deal with me to learn all the nitty gritty stuff. People say the first deal is your hardest. And after that, I wouldn't say it's a breeze, but it'll get a lot easier after the first deal because you kind of know what more to expect. So when that happens, I will be taking you guys through the entire process, documenting it on this podcast and hopefully shedding a little more light on all the details of how you actually buy and run a multifamily deal. Last but not least, I have some incredibly good news. Diploma, baby. We out of high school. Really excited about that. Graduation was a week ago. I was a little bit more emotional than I thought I was going to be completely honest. Like, I definitely enjoyed my time in high school, but it's up and downs, just like everything in life. But when I look back on it, especially the night of graduating with all my friends and stuff like that, I only looked back on the good parts, which is good because who wants to dwell on the bad things in life? I know it's kind of human nature to do it, and trust me, I do it a lot, but I've been recently trying to really focus on the positive things in life because there's always positive things. So you're alive. Well, hopefully, if you're watching this, you're alive. And that is something to be incredibly grateful for. Just the fact that you are alive, you have a house, you have food. Those are just, if you start appreciating the little things in life, then it can be a lot better. Your life is what you make it. If you focus on the negatives, then you're going to be a negative person and you're probably going to be depressed because that's all you're focusing on. But if you focus on the positives, because there's positives in everyone's life. If you focus on that, then you will be generally a happy person. I know this because I've put it into practice multiple times. Like I said, life goes up and down. It ebbs and flows. And I've been in dark places, but one of the best ways that have helped me out of those places is simply focusing on all the positive things. But yeah, that's it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoy. Feel free to comment, do whatever you want to do. Ask me questions. I'll put my email in the description if you want to ask me anything. Just talk, connect. I'm always down to meet new people because everyone has something to teach me. I try to listen to everyone because there's something you can learn from anybody, no matter what. Even if what you're learning from that person is what you don't want to do and what you don't want to be as a person, you can still learn from that. All right, well, wrapping it up, this has been episode 16, focusing on acquisitions, and look out for the next episode next month. I hope y'all have had a great